Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill, and I am your e-recruiter and moderator this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, let me give you a couple of quick tips. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking the audio settings button. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, if you've attended one of these before, you already know that we would love to get to your questions tonight. You can use the Q&A button. Go ahead and click on that, send us your questions, and we will get to those throughout the program behind the scenes, but also at the end of this session in a live question and answer panel. We are very excited to get to those questions tonight. Once again, before we get started, I just want to give you a little preview tonight. So this is part of a bigger series called Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. We do have other events that are coming up, and this event will be recorded, as are the others, and made available on our Become a Bobcat virtual series website. So we will go ahead and drop that link, among others, into the chat as we go through this evening, so you can take a look at those replays that are of events that have already passed, as well as getting yourself signed up for future events. We'll talk about those a bit more as we move on through the evening. One other reminder here at the top of the show, Bobcat Day is coming up this Saturday. It's only a few days away. It's April 23rd. We could not be happier and more excited to welcome all of you to our beautiful campus here in Merced. Please take a look at that website and get yourself registered today. We will drop that link into the chat box as well. And you can get yourself signed up and also take a sneak peek at what we have planned for you that day. And we will talk a bit more about that as we go on tonight as well. All right, so tonight, as I said, this is part of a larger series called Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. Tonight's topic, as you see on your screen, is finding your community of support. And this is being hosted by the Office of Social Justice Initiatives and Identity Programs. At this time, I'm so excited to hand things over to my colleague, Lorene, to get started.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. And I hope you are having a good evening or whatever time zone you might be tuning in from. So as we talk about finding your community of support, I really want you to start picturing yourself on campus and thinking about who you want to see around you, what you want that experience to feel like when you think of the word support and community. So to start off with, as Ricky said, my name is Lorene Fisher and I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm a coordinator in the Office of Social Justice Initiatives and Identity Programs. I have some of my colleagues joining me on this call that'll speak to you later as well. But to start with what we do, we have a very clear vision, mission, and commitment statement on behalf of our office. So I'd love to share these with you. Our vision is for every UC Merced scholar to thrive in our multicultural global society. And we use that word really intentionally, amidst a pandemic and many challenges that come with that. In addition to, just having a college experience, and for so many, a first generation college experience, we don't want you to feel like you're just surviving. We really want you to get to that point of you can come on campus and thrive personally, professionally, and academically. And that leads us to our mission. We aim to enhance the retention of our historically underserved scholars and to foster an inclusive campus environment for all by providing opportunities for holistic development, intersectional community building, and student agency. So what that means when we say holistic development, we're not looking at you as just a student. We know you are a human first before you take on that role of student. And you probably have a lot of other roles you're taking on in your life, whether that be with your family, a job, or whatever roles you might choose to play as a campus leader, a student leader on our campus. And we want to see that in the full picture. Intersectional community building means you don't have to pick and choose from the different identities you hold. We want you authentically and wholly to show up as you, show up as your full self, happy, joyful, hopefully on this campus, knowing that we see you, we value you, and we hear the experiences that you're going through before and once you get to campus. And of course, that final piece of student agency, your voice matters. And it's part of our mission to make sure that we're incorporating programs and opportunities for your voice to be shared and heard. And that leads us to our final commitment. In our commitment to serving UC Merced's diverse scholar community, we seek to influence university policies and practices to position our campus as a hub for transformative leadership and social change. We can go on to the next one here. Awesome. So how do we support scholars through our office? We really look at 5 main facets. The first being coalition building. We'll actually go to that one last because you'll see how they all work together. So I'm going to jump to collective healing. Collective healing is a way for us to really think about what that holistic student development looks like, knowing that your classes and your GPA is not the only thing that defines your experience, and you're going to go through some challenges, and we want to be here for you through that. Education and training around what identities you hold, what that means to you, how to be culturally responsive and find culturally relevant approaches to your education and training throughout. Living learning communities has to do with our residential living. And if you're living on campus, we do have one living learning community that our office supports. And we love providing programs and things to our other living learning communities, which is such a great opportunity to get connected. And finally, sense of belonging. Like I said earlier, we want you to know that we see you, we value you, and we hear you. And with those, we hope to make that impact that you truly feel like you can say, I belong at UC Merced, and this is my home. So let's get some examples going. For collective healing, the last 2 years, we've been going into a radical healing series. And what that means, what that radical approach is, rather than just saying, we're doing healing, we're doing wellness, the radical piece is that we're really pulsing our student body to say, what in your cultural practices and in your background was the most transformative and healing experience for you growing up? And what does that look like? So we got responses that included, doing yoga or dancing and cultural dances. We have a lot of student orgs that host cultural dances just based on their identity group and affinity spaces. It's amazing. Sound healing. So thinking not just talking about our feelings in dialogue, which we do have those opportunities to do, but what does it mean to heal through sound, whether that be music, chimes, sound bowls, etc. Mindfulness practices, which both our health promotion office and we have different mindfulness courses and workshops and just ways to incorporate that into our daily practices and programs that we offer in our spaces. And of course, healing and empowerment workshops, both hosted by professionals and students on our campus, as well as guest speakers. We love bringing in guest speakers to connect with students in a different way, a different approach that you may not get from elsewhere off campus. So right here to our on campus, we bring it. We have virtual ones sometimes, especially with these past couple of years, having those hybrid experiences has been really important. Community healing circles, recognizing that restorative justice is really important as we continue building a way forward across our nation. And we really just want to bring that transformative power to our campus to think about things a little bit differently. We challenge our students, faculty, staff, and even alumni and community members that get involved with us to think about what healing looks like when we come together, rather than just healing individually, so that we can have a collective healing experience around hard topics that are going on in the world, including the pandemic. And that leads us to restorative dialogues and guest speakers, just more supportive practices to make sure that that healing takes a step from just wellness classes and wellness workshops to truly radical healing and collective healing experiences. And that leads us to our next category, into our education and training. So we have a few different annual events that happen every year. And in our education and training component of our mission, this is a huge point that we have had students really fan over for the past few years. We have an annual social justice retreat going on 15 years strong, actually. This is the first year we're actually re-envisioning it and doing something a little bit different. And we're gonna look at what next year. We used to do an off-campus retreat, into a space about 2 hours away at a retreat center. And with the pandemic, we had to turn it to virtual. And now this next year, we're going to be looking at how do we make it a hybrid experience? And we're really excited to plan for that. And that's just a place that you can learn how to have those really critical dialogues around social justice. And some folks, take that as the criminal justice perspective. There are elements of that, but more than anything, it's about identity. How do we have those conversations when we disagree and when we have so many differences in our backgrounds or how we understand each other? And then how do we think about making our campus a just place, an inclusive place for all students? We also have our Women's Empowerment webinar series. This originally was started as the Women's Empowerment Conference and has been going on for multiple years on our campus. And we transitioned it to a webinar series amidst the need for virtual and hybrid programming. And it has been going amazing just to be able to connect with speakers both on campus and off campus that have a vast amount of experiences as to what success looks like in the world of women and gender equity. This is a really great experience to hear from different voices that is student led. That leads us to our undocu queer training and support. This is one of those categories where this is just one example, really, of how we create intersectional programming. We actually have one of our scholar coordinators on the call today that's going to be joining us later in the webinar, who has helped to create this undocu queer training and support. And it's the combination of our undocu Bobcat support center that we have on campus with our LGBTQ plus services to come together and really provide training and support about what does it look like on campus when you have these intersecting identities. How do you feel? How can you expect to be treated? What are the resources around on campus and in the community so that you feel like you can really find that home in Merced in an informed way? And then, of course, scholar-led workshops, which is my personal favorite because I've seen some of my student staff just blow me away with some absolutely amazing workshops throughout this year and past years. Some of those topics, which is really just based on their passion projects year to year, include combating imposter syndrome, navigating mental health concerns and stigma in communities of color, and understanding intersectionality. There's so much more to that, and I'm sure they can speak to that as well. But this is just a little dose of what you could even do, if you get involved with the Social Justice Initiatives Office and later want to become a staff, you can present workshops and trainings of your own as well. And living learning communities. So as I mentioned, we have one living learning community currently that we house, and that's Afro Hall, which stands for Africans for Retention and Outreach. This organization is actually a student-led organization that advocated for a living learning community of their own. There's a whole page about it that you can find on our Housing and Residential Life webpage. But to say in short, it is essentially for students from the African diaspora and all Black identities to really find a different sense of support center while living with one another, knowing that our Black and African community is still one of our smallest student populations on our campus. We want to make sure we're adding that networking, mentorship, academic support, and community engagement experiences that really help our scholars to thrive and move past that survival stage. And we love how our Afro Hall has been growing year to year. So that is a great way that you can get involved and get some more development that's operates more throughout the year rather than a one-time program. It is consistent, ongoing, you're living with your peers, you're getting that support throughout the year. And we are working on and hoping on expanding our living learning community, so we have a lot more to offer soon. But for this year, this is our big living learning community that we're excited to share with folks. And that brings us to sense of belonging. Cultural spaces on campus are growing. Right now, we have our Multicultural Center and our Pride Center fully active and running. And honestly, I'm just amazed at how much it has grown this year now that we've had our first year back on campus. Our spaces are used as a place for studying, a place just to get together with your friends, to do homework. We have programs in our spaces if you do want to have fun. So like we have a de-stress event coming up in our space that's passive. You can come in and out of the center as you please, grab some snacks, talk to a faculty or staff member, get a resource, or you can just hang out if you need a space to be different than maybe your dorm room or your apartment if you're living off campus, right? And just being in a different space. In addition to that, we have a Black Student Resource Center that is actually being redone right now to be expanded into a new space that will be done this summer. And the Asian Pacific Islanders Student Resource Center is also coming this summer. We're really excited to be able to announce and open these spaces for the first time ever, knowing that they were created and advocated for by students. So although our office does house and run the programs that happen within these spaces, we really want to emphasize student voice here. All of these spaces are available because a student first said they wanted it and advocated for it. And we're excited to see what ideas you have too, to make sure our spaces are giving you what you need, whether that's services, resources, programs, or just a space to be yourself. We also have the Graduate Student Cultural Center for any grad students that might be hopping on the call today. And our Undocu Bobcat Student Lounge is run through our Bright Student Success Center. And we also make sure we support that space in a variety of ways through a lot of collaborative programming, as well as the Guardian and Underground Scholars Resource Center that is already started and coming soon as well this summer. That takes us to our final one of coalition building. So I told you, we start with it as the words, but really it brings it all together. So all of these things, I'm hoping you've heard me say the importance of connecting to our community, connecting to our campus community, staff, faculty, your student peers, we want you to have an experience where you're able to build a coalition on this campus. We provide opportunities for you to build those connections, whether it be through programs or, if you just come on your first day and want to pop in the office and say, hi, I want to meet somebody and know you by name. We're here for that. We're excited to meet you all and welcome you to campus as new Bobcats. And we want to make sure that you find your community of support. It's not always easy, but I will say, if you're willing to just say your name, go to a program, reach out to some place outside of your dorm room, we're willing to bet you'll find your community, because this is an amazing place to meet other Bobcats with intersecting identities, likewise interests as you. And that's what we're going to go into in just a second. But we want to recognize that all those pillars that we try to provide programming and services to you for bring you back to connecting to your local Merced community and your campus to have that community of support to lean on throughout your entire collegiate career. And from there, I'm actually going to, let our students take it away and tell you about their experience themselves with what they have been able to interact with the Social Justice Initiatives office in, and what that looks like now that they are almost about to graduate. So I want to go ahead and pass this over to Robert Garcia and Giselle Reyes, two of my amazing scholar coordinators, student staff from our office.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Lorraine. I really appreciate it. So, like I said, my name is Robert Garcia. I'm a fourth-year sociology major with a minor in critical race and ethnic studies. And Giselle, would you like to introduce yourself before we share a little bit about ourselves and what we do in the office?
Yes, of course. So hi, everyone. I'm Giselle. I am a fourth-year public health major here at UC Merced, and I'm really excited y'all were able to hop on today and really get to know more about our office and about the resources that are available to you as future Bobcats. So with that, Robert, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Giselle. So, like Lorraine said, we work for the Office of Social Justice Initiatives and Identity Programs. So in the office, I'm a lead scholar coordinator with the focus on the LGBTQ plus community. So what I do is create workshops, presentation, and events for LGBT community here on campus. So some of the things that we do that our office does is create workshops like the Undocu Queer Bobcat workshop, where we basically have a 4-week series once per week of teaching students what it means to be undocumented, what it means to be part of the queer community, and how often those identities intersect and how it affects people in many different ways. Another workshop that we do is like workshops where it comes to study habits, how to find resources on campus, what to do, how to talk to professors, because a lot of times coming from high school to college is a very different experience. When I came to UC Merced, I come from LAUSD, so if you're from the LA area, that's where I'm from. And basically when I came here, I felt very unprepared, even though my teachers tried the best to prepare me. But here at UC Merced, offices like ours create these workshops that helps us find these resources and make sure that we have all the necessary skills to succeed and make sure that we continue on up our higher education and make sure we get our degree. And I would say many of the things that I do for our office that are LGBTQ plus based are based off what the students ask for and based off what I believe students need on campus. So another thing that I did for our school was host the annual Fabulosity Drag Show. So it's a big event that the university does through our office, where we host a massive safe space where we have drag queens come do a performance, do a show and everything, but also create a safe space for students and have students ask drag queens any questions they might have or anything that they feel that they can be or act outside in the real world. And we create these safe spaces to make sure that everybody sees their full potential and make sure that they truly are to themselves, because sometimes it's very scary and we often want to fit in with, but actually leave our true identity out, which these safe spaces and these workshops that we create help students blossom and make sure that they get they reach their full potential. Giselle, do you want to take it away?
Definitely. Thank you for sharing, Robert. And I can testify the Fabulosity Drag Show this year was absolutely incredible. So as I mentioned before, I'm Giselle. And so I am a scholar coordinator here for the Office of Social Justice Initiative and Identity Programs. And my focus is on women's empowerment programming. So I mainly look at how we can empower women in our campus because especially for me coming in as a first generation student, I didn't find a lot of different resources. I didn't know a lot of like the different availability to me. So having the opportunity to really program and create spaces that really highlight the different resources we have on campus is super awesome. I love that I can host the Women's Empowerment webinar series every year. It's a fantastic event where we have speakers from campus as well as outside of the UC Merced campus come over and really highlight their stories and highlight what success looks like, as well as like what has helped them grow in their professional lives, whether they're in grad school or whether they're new professionals in whatever career they're starting. Definitely those stories really help empower our students to really find other individuals that have been in their shoes and have really lived that part of their lives into like a different transition. So it's really cool that each semester I really get to program these events and as well as coordinate what the students want to see. Another great thing about our office, especially being a part of the office, is that we're always supporting each other. So every scholar coordinator, although our focuses are very different, we tend to help each other collaborate on different projects. So Robert Garcia really helped me with the advertising and the marketing of the Women's Empowerment webinar series to our Instagram page, just to bring awareness that this event was happening, as well as highlighting our different speakers for our students to really come out and get to know our different speakers, as well as have Q&A series. I was definitely able to help Robert in planning the drag show as well, because again, that was a really big event and we wanted to make sure that we're all there. And so a lot of the work that we do is mainly geared for our students to really find a space where they not only see other individuals that look like them, but can interact with like every other student that they meet, because these spaces are for them. These spaces are for them to grow. These spaces are for them to really like find a space that makes them happy. And so the work that we do on a daily basis just really brings a smile to our faces, just because again, like whether it's doing a training for a club organization or whether it's hosting an event like our de-stressor event coming up, we make sure that our students really have that level of comfort where they not only meet other students, but can bring their friends, bring their dorm mates, and just find a space to hang out and know that they're seen, they're heard, and they have an impact on this campus that it just makes it all more incredible. And so we're really happy that we're always able to host and interact students coming from very different walks of life to just blossom and flourish on our campus. So yeah.
Awesome. I really couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much, Giselle and Robert, for sharing a little bit about your experiences as scholar coordinators and, the awesome programs that you all have put on. I just have to say, Giselle and Robert have been working with Office for multiple years now. So this is an opportunity too, a journey that you all might want to take on if you get involved with the Office or find a space that you really connect with and want to be a part of creating the events that happen in our spaces on campus, or just creating a culture with us. We want a culture of inclusion, of acceptance, and of joy. We want to be happy while students on campus, right? And we want to create those experiences for you. So thank you so much, Robert and Giselle, for sharing your experiences. And I think that leads us as a great segue into ways that you all can get involved with us. So one of those is by signing up to attend events and workshops, or even an extended program like a living learning community. You can meet folks like Giselle and Robert who have been working with the office for a while, or maybe a new student who, just like you, just wants to meet somebody else, find a community that they enjoy and feel accepted and welcome in. You can visit our cultural spaces on campus, whether that's to take a lunch break, meet somebody, or just get some homework done. Contact us with your questions and thoughts. Of course, that is an easy way to get involved with us, is just by talking to us. Connecting with us on social media is another great route. Robert actually has done an amazing job with expanding our social media. So we have one for our office, one for our Pride Center, which is at UCM Pride, and one for our Multicultural Center at UCM Multicultural Center. And our main one is at UCM Social Justice, which we'll share with you all later. There is a lot of our marketing for programs, but one of the things I love is that you'll also just see our team having fun. And we want to make sure that you feel included in that too and can come join us anytime. You can volunteer to help with programs and events. I know our drag show that just happened, we had so many volunteers and it just made the experience that much better because everybody was there because they wanted to be. And it was just a fun, passionate event where everybody could be themselves. And of course, when that time comes, if you're looking for a job on campus, our office will be hiring actually. So you can always apply for a job with us or some of our internship opportunities that we have throughout the year through Handshake and through our UCM Career Center. So I want you to start envisioning how you can see yourself on campus, how you see building your community of support. If we can hop over to the next slide, we'll have a quick activity. This is called a social identity wheel. This may be familiar to some of you. I know sometimes folks will do it in high school or community colleges, but not always. So it might be a little small on your screen, just depending on where you're watching it, but just to talk through it real briefly. The social identity wheel is just a tool in a sense, to help you think about who you are, where you come from, and what experiences you really want to have on our campus based on your identities. So social identities are the ones that in some ways we're born with, we don't choose, right? We think of that way. And then in other ways, there are choices, there are places where we decide what that looks like for us. For example, I'll just give my example is I identify as a Black multiracial woman. That definition, that phrase, those words can mean something completely different to somebody else. But the way I show up in my Blackness, in my womanhood, in my multiraciality is in a way that wants to be inclusive, that I love meeting with people who look like me as well as people who look completely different from me. I have a very different perspective on politics because I came from a family where people were on completely opposite sides and I found a middle ground and gray space. So even no matter where you come from, there's the ways of thinking about how we connect to others by first knowing ourselves. So this is an activity that you can even look up online. You could type social identity wheel. It'll come right up for you on Google if you want to actually write it down and create one. But just to talk through it really briefly, some of the categories you can think about is race and ethnicity, how you identify in that area, socioeconomic status, gender, sex, sexual orientation, your national origin, first language, your physical, emotional, or developmental abilities, your age, and your religious or spiritual affiliation. I want you to think about these because we have a resource or club or organization for just about every one of these categories. And the beautiful thing about our campus is that we find a way, not just our office, but many of our offices across campus create ways and opportunities that if for some reason a space that you can identify with isn't already existing on our campus, we create easy pathways for you to create it. So we want to help you. We want you to think about what identities you think about most often, what you don't think about so much that you might be interested in learning more about. You want to think about what identities affect you the strongest. There might be some categories on here that you're like, oh, I know I am this, but I don't really think about that very often. Maybe you want to dive into that more and get to know other people who share that identity. Or maybe you're like, you know what, I really want to focus on this area while I'm in college. And that's going to be an ebb and flow as you continue growing through your college years. So we'll jump to the next slide so I can give you some tangible questions that you can ask yourself. When you think about how you want to build your community of support at UC Merced, you can start with the personal. What communities might align with your values and identities that you're interested in checking out? Jot that down. And when you come to campus, whether it be for Bobcat Day, which you're going to meet a lot of great organizations, offices that can support you in these categories, or once you actually get to campus, and spend a whole week, 2 weeks, a whole year getting to know all the offices, campuses, and communities of support that are available to you. It's there, but you want to know what you're looking for. So this is a great way just to have an idea. Academic. Will you want to learn academic skills to support you in the transition from high school or community college to a four-year university? And maybe you're interested in subject-specific tutoring. That's not something that our office provides, but that we are happy to connect you with. So if you're like, I don't know where to go to find that, let us know. We'll help you get connected to those resources across campus, whether it be PALS tutoring or academic skills support, to just get you what you need so that you can grow academically in your community of support. And finally, professionally, whether you want to start thinking professionally right away in your first year, or wait a year or two, we want you to think, if you already have ideas of what kinds of internships, jobs, or career paths you'd like to take during and after college. Remember, although we like to think of careers as a postgraduate experience, you're already starting while you're here on campus. And that's not to put pressure on you. That's to say there's a world of opportunities right in front of you. So if you're like, I'm not quite sure what I want to do, look for an internship that might spark your interest or be close to what you're thinking about. Multiple jobs on campus. You can just look and plug and play and see what feels good to you, so that when you go to that postgraduate choice making decision day, you have a clear idea of what you want to do and where you want to take it. You can plan to enroll in leadership programs, connect with career services, maybe even our community engagement center, and explore your options to get you going down a variety of different paths. The point is, ask yourself these questions as a starting point, but then keep your options wide, keep the open-mindedness to explore while you're here at UC Merced, because your community of support, us, whether it's Office of Social Justice Initiatives, other faculty or staff, or just your peers, are going to be here to continue providing that support for you as we continue to collectively grow at UCM. So we want to kind of wrap it up with a quote. This is an African proverb that's fairly well known. It says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We want to invite you from the Office of Social Justice Initiatives and Identity Programs to go with us. We want to be alongside you in your journey and helping you through this process of college and becoming a Bobcat. So anything that we can do to support you, whether it's reaching out to us as a quick email if you have a question or want to get connected to someone, or attending one of our awesome programs, meeting one of our scholar coordinators, we're here for you. So you don't have to go alone. We're here for you to do it together. You can connect with us again, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Our main page where we post everything like almost daily is our Instagram page at UCM Social Justice. And we'd love to connect with you all there as well. And with that, I believe that's the end for me. Ricky, can I pass it back to you?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that great presentation. And of course, to our audience, if you'd like to take a quick screenshot of this thank you slide, it does have that contact information at the bottom. We are going to jump into some question and answers here in just a second. And also, let's see, I'll give you just a second to do a quick screenshot of this one. And then also let me go ahead and back up just one slide so that you can also do the same with this one here as well. So go ahead and grab your smartphone or do a screenshot, so that way you can join in on the social media channels at your leisure, and you can definitely keep track of all of the happenings with all the social justice initiatives and in that office. All right, so let's go ahead and invite everyone on who would like to participate in Q&A tonight and answering some of these incoming questions from our audience. The first one that I have here is, how were you able to find community at UC Merced? And that's going to go out to anyone here on the panel who's been behind the scenes or on screen with us, maybe some of our students who were here.
Can I go? Because I raised my hand, but yeah. Okay, well, I started talking, hey, everybody. But I would say to find your community here on campus, it just takes time. Just because there's so many things to do here on campus. There's so many different clubs, so many different departments, so many different fraternities and sororities here on campus, different friend groups and stuff. You tend to just try a little bit of everything. What's wonderful about UC Merced is that there's so many things here to try, and you'll find your niche, or like wherever you have more interest or stuff in. Usually, although my main friend group is a mix of sociology, just like me, but also some chemistry, some psychology, from all different majors and stuff. Usually sometimes within your major, you'll find your interest because there'll be clubs advertising in classes. You'll have students come and be like, hey, since this is an interest in sociology course, we're the sociology club and we're having our event happening on this day or this night. Or what's also nice about UC Merced is that there's always a lot of tabling fairs. So you get to talk to different clubs, different departments on campus, get to know each other, what they're about, and you learn more information. And oftentimes at UC Merced, it's literally just like a long strip of land. So in a sense that a lot of students go up this thing that we call a hill, the famous hill. You'll understand when you come to UC Merced if you choose to. And usually on the way up the hill, you'll see people tabling, you get to know people, usually in front of the library, and you get to find more groups and more niches and figure out how you find your community, because community is all about exploring, discovering who you truly want to be here while UC Merced and even after you graduate UC Merced.
I can connect. Here at UC Merced, I feel like my first year there was just a lot of like things going on that was overwhelming, but I definitely met a lot of cool people in my classes, and I met a lot of cool people through the tabling events, that I really found kind of like a community that was very supportive, as well as like a community that I can actually like grow with. So you definitely meet a lot of people, not just from like the state of California, but internationally. My closest friend is an international student, but I'm happy I got to meet her at a tabling event, and it's kind of bittersweet now that we're about to graduate together. But at least like she's someone that I already know that's going to be in my life for a very long time. So you really do get to meet lifetime friends that are going to just like be with you every step of the way, even beyond graduation. And I feel like that's a very unique thing about UC Merced, is that you never know who you're going to meet, and once you meet someone, like they will be with you like every single step of the way. And I think that's just so incredible, and it's just one of those things that really makes the UC Merced community like a family, like an actual family, that I think is really, really cool.
Thank you both so much for those experiences that you're sharing tonight. The next question that we'll go to: is there a central calendar or other posting where students can see all of the activities that are going on campus? And I think we're going to drop a link into the chat, and if anyone has anything that you'd like to add.
I would just say, because I also responded in the chat, um, besides Cat Life, like if you follow like our office's social media, we tend to be really connected with other different departments and clubs, and usually they ask us to like reshare their events and stuff. So besides Cat Life, if you just follow like at least one or two departments here on campus, I would say social justice is one of them, UCM Care, and UCM Cab. Right there, usually us three share like the major big events and little events on campus on our social media, on stories and stuff, on Instagram especially. So I would say sometimes on social media you'll find events, but Cat Life, which is the link posted in the comments, is another way to find good events and things happening all around campus.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for that. And just another quick note, just definitely go ahead and click on that link that is in the chat box so that you can get more information. The next question I'd like to go to tonight: do all of you or any of you find that faculty and staff are respectful of your pronouns?
I can go first on this, if that's okay, Robin.
Okay. No, that's fine. Go.
Cool. I would say yes, just because our campus is just full of different diverse identities, as well as diverse genders and identities as a whole. I know my whole 4 years, I've never encountered a problem with any professor not respecting my pronouns. I've always just had my professors always respect my pronouns, even on Zoom. The professor would always ask, like, don't forget to add your pronouns, just so then I know how to address you correctly, just so then there's community spaces on the Zoom as well as in classes. So we're always super mindful of our pronouns, just because everybody identifies differently. So it's really nice that we can all address each other in a way that is respectful to our identity, but also just like mindful as us as people, because we're complex human beings. And so everybody comes from very different backgrounds as well.
I totally agree with you. Oh, you want to go? Rinko.
I was just going to add, we have to be transparent that it's not going to be perfect. right? There are going to be situations, and since my time working at the UC, there have been a few situations of misgendering or using the incorrect pronouns, and almost all of those that I've worked with in some sense have stemmed from miscommunication or not knowing, not registering. Like Giselle said, you actually have an opportunity to do that online through CAP courses. You can put your preferred name, you can put your pronouns to make sure that your professors and faculty know, while we also support educating, right? So it's not your job to educate as a student. On the back end, we are doing that education and support to all of our staff and faculty who are required to go through these assorted diversity, inclusion, and equity trainings to make sure that we're doing our best to support you all and see you for who you are as you want to be seen. So while there have been cases and issues that have involved using the incorrect pronouns, we always want to make sure that we are going above and beyond to make sure you feel supported and that those situations are corrected immediately. We do have an easy system for bias reporting, and if anything was ever in a more severe circumstance. And if you ever need help with that, just let me know. Just an email away. You can walk right into my office and I can help you there as well. But to what Giselle said already, it's not a common circumstance on our campus. It's a few here and there that we've made sure we've supported some students through. Sorry, Robert, if you want to go ahead.
No, it's fine. No, you said perfectly. I was gonna add on the services that we have on campus, but usually it's just miscommunication. There's a department here on campus called Ombuds that help you communicate with your professors if you feel uncomfortable talking to them, or sometimes they're not listening. Usually Ombuds will help fix that problem. And it's not like you're getting the teacher, the professor in trouble, or you're getting yourself in trouble with the professor. It's more helping make sure that there's a understanding. And at the same time, if you decide to come to UC Merced, you might find it weird at first when people, especially professors, introduce their pronouns or ask what your pronouns are, but that's actually very common here on campus to make sure that we're not misgendering. So at first you might be not weirded out, but like interested and like shocked when they're like, oh, my name is blah 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 and my pronouns are blah blah blah, and you're like, oh no, what's your pronouns? And you tend to be shocked because you don't really hear that, especially coming from a public school. You don't really hear the idea of, hello everybody, this is your English class, your 12th grade English class, what are y'all's pronouns? And then when you come to college, you're shocked because you're like, no one has ever asked me my pronouns. But yeah, definitely misgendering is a rare occurrence here. It does happen. Nobody's perfect, but at the same time, we do have steps to make sure that communication is restored between the person and the professor or anybody in general.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for your insight with that. Now, Lorraine, I'm going to go back for just a second. I think you may have touched on this, so maybe you can help explain a bit more. So the question is, does UC Merced allow for students to use their preferred or their chosen name versus their given name? And if we do, how does someone go about doing that?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do it is actually through CAT courses. So when you have all your classes, academics, they all pop up on CAT courses. You'll be using that throughout the year for a variety of your courses. There is a way in there to go into your settings, your profile in a sense, and just change your preferred name from there. And that goes into your professor's rosters so they see your name as that preferred name. Now, I will say there is a little bit more complication for legal change of names, and that is something that we try our best to support students with the support of our Dean of Students office, as well as our office and LGBTQ+ initiatives, to make sure that we are supporting students through getting information about resources both in our city, our county, but really it goes all the way up to the state for legal name changes. But we as a campus aren't able to do those legal name changes. So if you want to change your preferred name, yes, easy, we'll help you do that on CAT courses. If you want to go for a more expansive change of your legal name and in our system, so that would affect your financial aid, things like potentially housing and anything that goes back to the government or the state. Those things are a little harder to change, but we can provide resources for you to help you learn that process that would be handled by the state in the long term.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that in-depth review on how we go about handling that. That was great. All right, so a couple more questions coming in here. Is there an LGBTQ+ housing situation on campus? Is there an option for that?
Not at the moment. So we really want to emphasize that all of our housing is inclusive of all identities. At this time, we don't have a specific housing space for LGBTQ plus housing, like an LLC. We don't have a living learning community per se. However, if you have any specific needs, our housing and residential office is actually really good about making sure we do matching and things. So let's say you want to be, you identify within the LGBTQ community and you want a roommate who also does. The best way to do that is by meeting folks, like whether that's at Bobcat Day or just getting connected on our social media page. If you follow at UCM Pride Center, you can see different opportunities and you can connect with us. You can send us an email and say, hey, if anybody else is looking for a roommate that identifies this way, and we're happy to connect with you, just to help you be able to put in those roommate requests and things like that. But the short answer is at this time, we don't have an LLC specific to LGBTQ plus identities.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Lorraine. The next question, is CAT courses similar to Canvas?
Yes. CAT courses is hosted on the platform Canvas. So if you're used to Canvas, everything's usually right there. Same thing and everything. If you use Schoology, because when I went to high school, we use Schoology, and it's very similar to Canvas. And it's just like a fancier version because there's more stuff. But yeah, definitely Canvas is CAT courses. We call it Canvas, we call it CAT courses here, but it's on the same platform. But here we just call it CAT courses because we're Bobcats and we like to be on brand.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Another question that just came in, and I think, Robert, you were about to answer it behind the scenes, but let's go ahead and answer it live here for our audience. Do we have sororities and fraternities here?
I would answer it, but that is Giselle's department. She is on one of the fraternity and sorority councils, so I'll let Giselle answer because she rocks with that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so yes, there is. Oh my goodness, my voice is going away. But yes, there is fraternities and sororities on our campus. There's about 18 active of them, and those fraternities and sororities are broken down into 4 branches. So they go from professional, being co-ed, and so our professional fraternities do a great job in helping our students that are interested in law, are interested in medicine, are interested in health, business. So we have those fraternities on campus. Then we have our social fraternities, which are all male fraternities. Traditionally, we have our Panhellenic sororities, which are our social sororities, and then we have our cultural fraternities and sororities. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody to join. I do serve, as Robert mentioned before, I am part of the Fraternity Sorority Council, and I serve as the Executive Vice President of Cultural Sororities. So I make sure that our cultural sororities have enough involvement with the Merced community, because a really big thing that we like to highlight here within our Greek life is we're not just Greek life, we're students and we're also members of the Merced community. So it's always good to give back. So every week I'm always definitely finding opportunities outside of UC Merced and in the Merced community. So whether that's volunteering for the Valley Crisis Center or the Women's Shelter or Homeless Shelter, like our Greek organizations always go out there, give their best to the community and really make a difference, because even if it's just like an hour away or even 5 hours, like we are there giving our all and our best to our community. So I definitely love the role. I love how there's a lot of unity in the sense that there's always collaboration with different organizations, as well as just like making sure that we all hang out and get to know each other, as well as like promote academics, because another thing as well, as I mentioned before, we're students. So we definitely host study sessions and make sure our students are on their A game with their academics, because we do want to perform at our best at all times of the year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I cannot imagine how busy all of you are. You just keep listing all these things that you're involved in. That's so amazing. And all these great clubs that we offer here at UC Merced. So thank you for that detail. All right, the next question. Do you feel safe on our campus?
I can answer it. I definitely feel safe on our campus, especially because I'm part of the LGBTQ plus community on campus. So on campus, like for example, if you're scared to walk at night, it's usually very well lit, but also we have stations just in case where like you don't feel safe walking back to your dorm or back to your car. there's these massive blue poles where you could call, and one of the police members of the department that are on campus will escort you to your dorm or escort you to your car at nighttime. During the daytime, we have tons of resources, tons of ways to intervene, to protect. When it comes to personal things, we have counselors here on campus to talk to when you're not sure what to do. Or also, we have different departments like the care office, which stands for campus advocacy. And basically, they talk about making sure you have, your rights, your resources, making sure that you're safe at all times. And then at the same time, usually students here watch out for each other. So one common thing that other schools do that we don't necessarily do is a lot of students are very competitive. And here at UC Merced, we're not as competitive in the sense that we like bringing each other up and making sure that we feel supported and safe at all times. So we do have students that take care of each other, make sure everything's okay, make sure that you're feeling supported. And also faculty and staff right here are always caring and always understanding. Sometimes all a faculty member or professor needs to know is a heads up and be like, hey, I'm not doing so well, or I don't feel safe. And usually faculty members and professors will tell you your resources or help you out, make sure you're guided to the correct locations, correct places or departments to have your needs met and make sure that you feel safe at all times.
Thank you so much, Robert. Does anyone else want to add on to that at all?
Can add on to it. So definitely echoing Robert, I definitely feel like UC Merced is a really safe campus just because during my whole 4 years here, it's very well lit at night. So I never feel kind of like the need of like it's dark, it's scary. It's really well lit, and there's always like students at every hour, especially during final season. Like you're like, why are you all still up? So they're always walking around. They're always students there. I know because UC Merced, a lot of us are first generations as well as like transfers or second generation. We all look out for each other in the sense that I promise you, you can leave like your entire laptop set in our Lantern Cafe and walk away for an hour and you'll come back and everything's still there. And that's because we're just kind of like, if someone leaves their things there, it's more so that they're working or they went on the restroom break or they went to go get food or anything. So we always look out for like everybody's things, even if we don't like directly know a certain person. We're always just kind of like, well, they left their stuff there, so they'll probably be back for it later. And sooner than later, they're back and they're just like working and eating a snack. So I definitely feel like UC Merced does provide like enough safe spaces that you can roam around at any time. And as well as like, there's always our emergency blue poles to be used if there's ever an emergency, or if you just watch a scary movie and you're like, I kind of need a ride to my dorm, you can definitely do that as well. But yeah, I definitely feel like UC Merced's been super comforting, super safe, that I really have like no like concern of like if I walk out at like midnight from the library, I'll still get to my dorm fine.
That's so amazing. Thank you both so much. And as a staff person, I can speak to this, just stating that UC Merced has a huge family feel to it. So just as you've heard from our students, and also Lorene has mentioned things throughout, we have a family feel. We are there to support each other in every way, shape, or form. So you definitely have friends there that you don't even know about yet, that you haven't met yet. All right, Lorene, did you have anything that you'd like to add on? Any last minute words of advice tonight?
I would just add, if you're fearful of finding your community and really knowing if you fit, that's okay. I think we all have a little bit of hesitation and fear going into a big transition or something brand new. And I just want you all, as you're thinking about this, as you're thinking about embracing a brand new experience, a brand new college experience, one, be proud of yourself for taking this next step. And two, do it afraid, because there's other people who might be feeling just like you, and that fear won't last too long. We're going to be here to support you from the moment you step foot on campus, and even beforehand, as I'm hoping you've already experienced. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. All right, everyone. Well, we are nearing the end of this broadcast tonight, but thank you so much to all of our behind the scenes chatters and people dropping links into the chat box for us, all the on-screen folks who have joined us. So Lorene, our great presenter, Giselle and Robert, for sharing your personal stories and experiences. That is always the best way for us to share what UC Merced is all about and what Bobcat Spirit is all about. So we couldn't be here without you and your sharing of your experiences. So thank you so much for that. As we do start to wrap up, I want to remind everybody, Saturday is Bobcat Day. It is Saturday, April 23rd. We are also excited to welcome everyone here. We are going to have a lot of people, not only our guests and their families, but all of us will be there for you as well. We're super excited to meet you in person, jump out of these laptops and out of these virtual Zooms and see you in person. So like I said, it is this coming Saturday. We will drop a link into that chat box so you can take a look and get a sneak peek at everything that will be offered this weekend. And so a couple of the things that you can expect, we will be offering you tons of workshops, some that are specifically focused on the School of Engineering, the School of Natural Sciences, and also SHA, which stands for Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts. So you will get a sneak peek again into all the majors and programs and opportunities and research and internships that you have at your fingertips when you are a UC Merced Bobcat. Some other things, like I said, will also be on that website, so you can take a look at the rest of the schedule. We have nearly 200 tabling events getting ready to get set up here in just a couple days for you as well for Bobcat Day. Trust me, you don't want to miss this day. So go ahead and hop on over, get yourself registered right away, and you'll get a sneak peek again at that calendar of everything that we have planned that day. All right, the other thing that you'll have an opportunity to do at Bobcat Day is get a campus tour. So we would love to share with you our beautiful campus, give you all the new information about the newer portion of our campus, the residence halls, our dining facilities, all of our high-tech buildings, both the new and the not so new, but not really old because we are the newest UC in the system. So again, you can sign up for Bobcat Day, but if for some reason you sadly can't join us on Saturday, we offer campus tours 6 days a week. So we will drop that link for you as well into that chat box so you can get yourself registered for a separate campus tour if you'd like to do that on a separate day. Lastly, this event tonight has been part of a series that is a virtual series called Become a Bobcat. If you haven't yet already checked out that website, we will drop that into the chat box as well. We've had several events, several weeks of events actually that have already happened. But you're lucky because we have those instant replays available for you. We have everything linked there that goes over to our YouTube channel. This event will be there in just a couple of days. We also have a few more events that are coming up. The one that is happening tomorrow night is actually focused on the UC Merced Asian American community. We have a few next week as well, focused on student involvement, and another one focused on housing. So make sure that you do hop over to that Become a Bobcat website. Again, take a look at upcoming events or get yourself into some of those instant replays. I think that about does it for our announcements tonight. Again, a huge thank you to everyone who's helped us out, for our huge audience that was with us tonight. We hope to see you again at another virtual event that's coming up, but even better, Bobcat Day coming up on Saturday. Hop on over, get yourself registered. And for now, have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon.